Our top story this morning on Sunrise, the proposed merger between Kroger and Albertsons still on hold. What comes next for the grocery store giants after the deal to bring them together is blocked by a pair of judges in Oregon and Washington?
And taking on water while on the run, the bizarre way 2 suspected thieves in Washington tried to escape police.
And we're also on standby for another meteor shower on tap for this weekend. Big question, will we see it? Will we actually be able to see it here in Oregon and Southwest Washington? Rod Hill chimes in on that later as the 6 o'clock hour of Sunrise starts right now.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us on your Wednesday.
I knew you'd get it.
I'm trying to green.
I knew you'd get it. And I'm Drew Carney. Rod Hill, you know it's Wednesday.
Yeah, so here's the deal, right? We're talking about seeing a meteor shower later in the week, which is way up there, right? We can barely see our state capitol.
Right.
Here's our Salem camera. This is actually improved visibility from just 15 minutes ago, but it's another foggy morning down in Marion County. 36. There are a few freezing spots, but most areas have held above 32 overnight. Great visibility in Portland because we have the east winds coming out of the gorge, prohibiting any fog. 38 is our number, also well above freezing, obviously. This will be a cloudy, pretty quiet day overall, 45 degrees at noon. Now, late day, or maybe not until this evening, but eventually, we'll start to see some light rain arrive from our southwest. We'll keep an eye out for that. 44 at 5 p.m. Here's Chris.
Rod, the thickest fog that I found in the metro area is over on the west side right now. It's not bad, but it's there. This is Highway 26 out in the Bethany area, so just be aware of that. Door number 4 takes us to the Glen Jackson Bridge. I-205 south traffic rolling right along again, mostly in the metro area. Fog is not too big of a deal, but there is a freezing fog advisory again east of the Cascades, Wasco and Sherman counties. That's a look at Highway 97 near Kent. And once again, because of the freezing fog situation, the Sherman County School District on a 2-hour delay again today. We'll keep you posted, guys.
Thank you, Chris. We have breaking news this morning. Fire crews are battling a warehouse fire in Clackamas. Clackamas Fire responded to the scene on Jennifer Street where firefighters found batteries burning inside the warehouse. The fire was quickly upgraded to a 2-alarm fire. An initial search confirmed that no one was inside the building. Investigators are working to determine the cause of the fire. We have a team headed there right now and hope to bring you a live report within the next half hour.
A pair of judges, one in Oregon and the other in Washington, blocked the proposed merger between Kroger and Albertsons. So to start with, a federal judge here in Portland ruled in favor of state and federal regulators yesterday after a 3-week hearing that took place earlier this summer. The ruling pauses the merger at the federal level until a Federal Trade Commission judge can make a final determination. Kroger and Albertsons argued that the merger would help them compete with bigger retailers like Walmart, Costco, and Amazon. They proposed selling off nearly 200 Safeway, Albertsons, QFC, and Hagen stores in Oregon and Washington to minimize antitrust concerns. But the Federal Trade Commission sued to block the deal, arguing it would be bad for consumers and workers by eliminating competition. Albertsons countered that. They say it may have to lay off workers, close stores, and even leave some areas if the merger wasn't allowed to happen. In her opinion, though, Judge Adrienne Nelson wrote, quote, "Any harms defendants experience as a result of the injunction do not overcome the strong public interest in the enforcement of antitrust law, especially given the difficulty in disentangling a premature merger," end quote. Meanwhile, a Washington judge in Seattle issued a permanent injunction barring the merger from going forward in the state, saying it would lessen competition. The state of Colorado has also sued to block the merger, but a judge there has yet to rule on the case. We also know about some big changes that could soon be coming to the Portland Expo Center.
A work session happened yesterday with Metro officials moving closer to approving a redesign of the building. Our Thomas Schultz joins us live from the Expo Center now. So Thomas, what are the future plans for the center?
Well, China and Drew, Metro wants to make the Expo Center a place where families and sports teams can come and play and spend a little bit of their money, too. Now, back in the 1920s, the Expo Center was initially built for livestock exhibits. Now it hosts conventions like local trade shows, though at a Tuesday meeting, a Metro group agreed trade shows just aren't a sufficient use of the building anymore. Instead, they envision the Expo Center can be used as a place the public could come all throughout the week for club and league sports like youth volleyball and basketball leagues. The hope is the renewed use could spur more economic activity. Nationwide, Jim Etzel from Sports Oregon says sports tourism is a $128 billion industry. Though on the West Coast, there's few places catering to the business.
When you look at a heat map of these facilities around the country, the West Coast is virtually blank. So significant interest from our federations and events right holders about getting to this part of the country. There's a significant pent-up demand.
So a lot of pent-up demand, right? And so it seems like Metro is going to move forward with plans to build basketball and volleyball courts in one of the halls of the Expo Center and a couple of ice rinks in another one.
So, Thomas, how much do they expect this to cost in the end?
Yeah, well, China, it's going to be expensive, right? They're expecting $300 million as the total cost of these renovations. The problem is right now it's not clear how Metro intends to pay for it. Guys?
All right, Thomas Schultz reporting live for us there at the Expo Center this morning. All right, some good news to pass along in terms of lower gas prices this morning. Nationally, gas down to its lowest prices since May of 2021, so over 3 years ago. And here in Oregon, gas prices are the lowest we've seen since June of that year. Right now, you see the national average for a gallon of gas is $3.02. In Oregon, it's $3.48, and in Washington, it sits at $3.95.
Alaska Airlines has announced it's planning to add nonstop flights to Asia for the first time. Alaska will offer flights from Seattle to Tokyo starting next May and to Seoul starting next October. The airline says this is part of an ongoing expansion plan. And by 2030, Alaska says that it wants to fly to at least a dozen international destinations from Seattle using wide-body planes it got during this year's merger with Hawaiian Airlines. In Washington, Boeing says it has resumed 737 MAX production at its Renton factory, and Everett should follow soon. Last month, the company reached a deal with machinists after a weeks-long strike, but those workers needed to be recertified before getting back to work because of how long they were off the production lines. Boeing production process and safety standards came under scrutiny after almost a brand new 737 MAX had a door plug blowout over Portland at the start of the year. FAA says that it's monitoring Boeing as it ramps up production again and tries to catch up on unfilled plane orders.
China, I don't know if you've seen this next story. If you haven't, I think you're going to like it. It's about one of the worst ways to get away from police if you've committed a crime.
This is not real.
Yeah, don't use a rowboat, people. What we're looking at there is a pair of jewelry theft suspects who were arrested in Washington after, yes, they tried to escape from deputies in that stolen rowboat. Deputies say they stole more than $11,000 worth of jewelry from a home, eventually trying to escape by way of rowboat, and they had a piece of plywood
What
for
is
an
the
oar.
person doing in front? What are you doing, ma'am?
Could use a little help. The boat began to sink. It eventually capsized, so the suspects had to swim back to shore. I'm sure by that time, Rod, they were so out of breath that running away wasn't really an option. There they go.
So my question is, when you're sitting in jail
All wet.
and your cellmate says, "Oh man, how'd you get caught?" Do you share this story or do you make up a different story?
Well, luckily for us, we got the video. We got the video proof. So
Wild story out of Washington there, Rod. It's your turn.
Here's our fog map out on the west side. Hillsboro, 3/4 of a mile visibility. And then about the same down in Salem into Eugene. There's actually a fog advisory from about Albany down to Eugene this morning. There's not any fog in downtown Portland, the east side, or up in southwest Washington because of gusty east winds out of the gorge that came to life yesterday. You folks in Troutdale pretty consistently been gusting to about 35 miles per hour. There's been 15-mile-per-hour winds get up to PDX along the Columbia, but not seeing much wind in downtown. Our beautiful Christmas tree all lit up as we look at dry bricks from the Pioneer Park building camera, and the temperature above freezing at 38. I mentioned there are some freezing spots. Good morning, Forest Grove. Good morning, Battleground. Good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Oregon City. Actually, a few more spots have dropped to 32 in the last half hour. 31 out in Estacada. But Salem and Kaiser, for the time being, are cloudy, foggy, and above freezing at 34 and 36. This does appear to be a cloudy day. We have clouds already pushing in ahead of a weak system from the Pacific. Rain picks up this afternoon along the coast. Tough to tell if we get something before sundown, which is around 4:30, or if it's not until early evening up and down I-5. But we do have eventually some rain coming in. The system, though, falls apart overnight. Here's tomorrow morning. The meat of that system goes down into California. So look for some afternoon showers along the coast and late day / or evening light rain coming up from the southwest here in the valley. This shows Albany at 43 this afternoon, Portland at 46. Dry and 30s, mostly highs in the 30s out across eastern Oregon today. The two, some showers around tomorrow. The two rainy days by far are Friday and Saturday, both expected to have periods of steady rain falling. Snow levels this weekend with showers on Sunday. Snow levels this weekend will be about 3,000 feet. So there will be accumulating snow Friday overnight at pass level over the Cascades. And that's your update for now.
All right, Rob, we want to get back to that breaking news story we told you about a few minutes ago. Fire crews battling a 2-alarm warehouse fire this morning in Clackamas. Clackamas Fire responded to the scene on Jennifer Street where they say firefighters found batteries burning inside the warehouse. They did do a search. They confirmed that no one was inside. Investigators still working at this point to determine the cause of the fire.